Well, NXT welcomes us to the Performance Center for family and friends and fan appreciation night.
Mm-hmm.
And how do they thank us? With probably the biggest spot in NXT live history. Shit, NXT television history, probably.
Yeah. This is NXT.
This is NXT. Welcome, everybody, to What's NXT for March 11th, 2020. I'm your host, the Rated R reviewer, Stefan Osborne, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter.
Good morning, wrestling fans.
And this show was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Almost literally all over the place.
Good choice of words.
There at the end, it was most certainly. We start off the show with Keith Lee versus Cameron Grimes. So we are starting the show with the title match, the North American Championship. And Cameron Grimes wasn't winning the North American Championship from Keith Lee in the opening match of NXT Live on USA.
On Fan Appreciation Night.
Not even at Full Sail, man.
No.
Not even at Full Sail. This is one of two title matches. And spoiler, neither title, championship, whatever, changes hands tonight. It's not gonna. I would hope nobody goes into this night expecting that to happen. For me, this feels like one of those shows that could have been taped.
Yeah, this is pretty much like just more build going into Tampa at this point.
There is no news coming out of this show other than the matches themselves and the spots. Like, it really... Was there anything legit announced other than the two qualifying matches where we now know two more people that are going to be in the 6-woman ladder match for the number one contendership for the NXT UK Women's Championship?
Because that's really the only match at this point that needs built. Everything else is kind of self-explanatory at this point.
Considering who was in them and who won them, I feel like one of the matches that we saw of that tonight was cool. Mm-hmm. The other match could have been at an NXT live show that they're having all over the Midwest.
Except for Kentucky.
Eastern Midwest. They're going all around us. They are going around us literally in successsion. And Louisville
They're going from Nashville. They're going from Nashville to Evansville, Indiana to Indianapolis.
Meanwhile, WWE will come to Louisville.
Oh, yeah.
Tickets go on sale in a couple of days for that.
Bringing their shitty product up here.
Let's see if I want to get tickets to that. We'll see. Anyway. Whatever. If I get 2 tickets, who's going to go?
I'll go.
Got to be this guy.
Probably.
Do I know any other wrestling fans? Not that live in E-Town. That's crazy, man. When I was a kid, there were tons of wrestling fans, and they all lived on your block because everybody was into wrestling.
Oh, everybody was into wrestling in Airview.
9 million people watched wrestling every Monday between the two channels, probably more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So nowadays, you'd be lucky if you have a friend that likes wrestling too.
But they'll want to talk about the mixed martial arts stuff and all that other shit.
Yeah, they like watching MMA, real fighting. Yeah. That always looks gayer for some reason. Mm-hmm. These guys come out in tights. Spandex and glitter sometimes. The New Day comes out with unicorns and rainbows.
And they're still straighter than these other guys.
Yeah. I've never seen a wrestling match devolve into two dudes like basically hugging each other on the mat for 2.5 minutes of a 3-minute round. And the ref just lets it happen. Mm-hmm. I saw one MMA promotion one time where the ref would make them get up after so many seconds if nobody got an advantage. And I was like, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we got Keith Lee versus Cameron Grimes, and Grimes was hopeful here. He tried a lot of shit, and he got the upper hand a few times, but come on, man. No. Keith Lee basically just threw him around a bit and then won the match.
It's pretty much like that annoying mosquito that you just kind of let bite you just to get in right there and just swat it.
Well, that was the story they were telling at the beginning where Cameron Grimes kept trying to get some kind of takedown on Keith Lee, and Lee was just like, nope, and then would pick him up and throw him away. At one point, he literally picked him up and just threw him out of the ring. Like, what do you think about the match, though, other than the fact that we knew Lee was going to win?
Cameron Grimes has been putting on consistently good matches. There hasn't been a match where I've been like, oh man, it's Cameron Grimes, this match is going to suck. He's been great since the breakout tournament. And for him to go against Keith Lee, yeah, it showed that he can actually be in a ring with more or less a super heavyweight at the same time and still put on a good match.
Now, you say, we expect a good match out of him. And I would agree, mostly because the first maybe half or 2/3 of his career so far in NXT had been like regular talent, like either jobbers or guys that were just as green as him. And it's only been recently that he's been in the ring with these guys that, even though it was Damian Priest that came down and whacked him with, and I swear it was a tire iron a few weeks ago, but whatever. Dominic Dijakovic, he's got a win over Dominic Dijakovic. Didn't he beat Kushida too? Like,
yeah.
He's got some significant wins as of late. And you can say it's because of the guys that he's in the ring with, but no, like, we started liking this guy when he was with jobbers that aren't going to make him look necessarily as good as
when he was doing insta finishers.
The whole time I'm watching this match, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking he's going to go for a cave-in at some point, and he's basically going to be popping himself up for Keith Lee to do with as he pleases. And I'm pretty sure that's how it ends up. I've got a pretty good ton of notes here, but I'll just take it to the end here. Yeah, Lee counters a cave-in with a spirit bomb, but Grimes counters out of that, hits a super kick, but then comes off the ropes and catches a pounce that almost knocks him out of the ring, gets picked up for a big black cock, and 1, 2, 3. Keith Lee wins. I mean, Big Bang Catastrophe. Whatever. The BBC.
The big black cock is safe for Mia.
I'm sure there were a few cool moves in here, but...
Oh, the bridging German from Cameron Grimes onto Keith Lee was just beautiful.
Oh yeah, I've got that. And then there was one where he was going for a move to Keith Lee outside, and Lee just catches him and then goes for a power bomb, but he gets out of it. Like, he grabs the ropes and then stomps Keith Lee's face.
Yeah.
And then goes for another move, and Keith Lee grabs him again. And then he goes for that. He goes for the save again out of the spirit or out of the power bomb, and again he gets out of it with the ropes. But this time Keith Lee just clubs his legs out from under him, and he goes face first into the apron.
The hard part of the ring, don't you know?
In the end, though, Keith Lee, wins. And he's celebrating with the title. And wouldn't you know, Damian Priest hits him from behind. Now he's got what they call a nightstick. It's one of those extending sticks that I would say is more like a...
kind of like a billy club kind of thing.
It's like a security guard stick.
It's like a magic wand.
It's what somebody carries when they're not allowed to carry a gun.
He should carry around a cattle prod like Scott Hall used to. That'd be pretty sweet.
Anyway, maybe too many people were comparing him to Arn Anderson, and he was like, I gotta get a different weapon. Well, anyway, he lays out Keith Lee.
I would never compare the two ever in any way, shape, or form.
He lays out Keith Lee from behind, and then Dominic Dijakovic comes out and chases him off. And then after he's sure that he's gone, he turns around and he sees the North American Championship, which he's been coveting lately. And he picks it up, but then he realizes Keith Lee's still on the ground, so he goes to help Keith Lee up. Keith Lee gets up just far enough to see that whoever's helping him up has got the North American title in their hand, and he gets pissed. And he immediately pops up Dijakovic into a spirit bomb and then gets his title and leaves. Dijakovic's just like, what the fuck, man?
There's two things you don't touch in this world. A black man's stereo and his title.
Either way, I like how they did this. This was pretty good. So I'm looking forward to the payout.
Because now you're going to wonder if he did it just out of disrespect to Dijakovic or just the fact that he's holding his belt.
So we were hoping kind of for a fatal four-way with Dijakovic, Damian Priest, Keith Lee, and Cameron Grimes. But considering the last couple of matches, I would say maybe a triple threat instead.
Mm-hmm.
But either way,
it'll be a good match.
Yes. Let's move on. We get a video package for the women's #1 contendership ladder match, which we now know has 6 people. We know one of the people is going to be... Who won last week, Jerry?
Oh.
Somebody. Somebody. And tonight we're going to find out another contender with Mia Yim versus Dakota Kai. That's
Chelsea Green won last week.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm glad you have the memory.
I couldn't remember for a second there. She's kind of forgettable at this point.
Okay, I was just checking the chat room. Mia Yim versus Dakota Kai. She does come out with Raquel Gonzalez.
Raquel doesn't matter.
Raquel Gonzalez.
Actually, Raquel doesn't sound too bad. We're going to call her Raquel.
RRG. This is a qualifier, like we said. And I've got some notes here. This was an okay match. I like this version of the chiropractor better. Normally when she does the chiropractor, the opponent bounces up off of it and usually goes forward. In this case, Mia Yim planted her feet, and when she took the chiropractor, it was like a landing backstabber. She didn't pop back up. She looked like she took the full brunt of that thing with no spring, and I liked it.
Yep.
I liked it. I actually enjoyed Mia Yim in this match more than I normally would. There wasn't a lot of...
she's getting a lot better.
There wasn't a lot of dead space in her offense, and there wasn't a lot of botching or awkwardness. And I enjoyed her in this match. What do you think?
I think at this point she's finally getting to a point where she's delivering more NXT/WWE type matches than what she used to do in Impact Wrestling. More of that style, and it's actually starting to translate better onto television.
So Faceman Buddha says the BBC is saved for Mia.
I said that earlier too. She gets it. It's limitless.
So Mia Yim starts working on Dakota Kai's leg, where she's on the apron and Kai goes to kick her. And she kicks through the ropes, but then gets caught up because Yim dodges and then kicks her leg while it's still in the ropes. And then Kai gets back in the ring. The ref's checking on her. And this is when Gonzalez goes to sweep Dakota Kai, or not Dakota Kai, Mia Yim off the apron. Because I think she goes to kick her, but misses. And when she sweeps her, instead of going face first in the apron, she ends up getting caught on Reina's shoulder. So Reina just throws her up and smacks her into the apron from there. And then backs off up to the ramp like, I didn't do nothing. Mm-hmm. And at this point, the ref believes her. See, that's where we saw the chiropractor for a near fall. She does go for that face wash in the corner, but Mia Yim dodges it and hits a powerbomb. So she ducks it and then picks her up and hits a powerbomb. But Gonzalez breaks up the pin attempt by literally pulling Dakota Kai's leg before the 3 count. And the ref, again, doesn't really see it. But he starts arguing with her once Mia Yim says, hey, this bitch is getting into the match. So Dakota Kai off of that goes for a roll-up and probably could have gotten a pinfall because we see how the fruit roll-up works so well. Mm-hmm. It's everybody's third, not secondary, but third finishing move. And the ref is too busy arguing with Gonzalez, so by the time he turns around, she doesn't get a pinfall off of it. Instead, she gets not even a protect your neck or anything like that. I think it was a straight-up code breaker.
Yeah.
And 1, 2, 3, Mia Yim moves on. She qualifies for the women's #1 contender 6-woman ladder match for the NXT Women's Championship.
That's a lot to say.
Yeah, every time. It was okay. Gonzalez attacks Mia Yim after the fact, so this is probably going to set up for a match between the two of them sometime between now and Tampa. Mm-hmm. She hits her, I think, twice with that single-arm powerbomb. That single-arm powerbomb, man. I dig it.
It's cool.
She makes it look good. Anyway, it was all right. We get an interview backstage, or an attempted interview with Tommaso Ciampa by this new chick. Don't know who she is. She's blonde, so there's something different. Whatevs. She wants to know what he thinks it means that Johnny Gargano means when he says they're going to do things his way, and Ciampa's just like, his way, and then continues walking into the arena. It's going to take him about an hour and 15 or 20 minutes to get to the ring at the rate he's walking. I mean, he's walking pretty fast. He don't give no fucks, but it's not like he went straight to the ring. The show's already underway here.
He probably stopped for nachos.
He makes it into the ring by the main event.
Yep.
Just so happens. So they show Red Dragon backstage with the rest of Undisputed Era warming up. This is about the time I first had to wake Jerry up.
Mm-hmm.
As good as this show was, and it wasn't great per se, but as good as it was, man, this guy bored the shit out of this dude.
I wasn't bored. I'm just tired.
Oh, poor Jerry. Mm-hmm. So we come back from commercial and we get the creepy ass apocalyptic video for somebody's debut. Don't know who it is. I'm assuming we're going to get it probably either in a few weeks or just after WrestleMania.
Looks like it's going to be Killer Cross.
Cool. So
that's who I would think at this point.
Yeah, I actually saw the word apocalypse, so that's why I said apocalyptic. Anyway, it was creepy, kind of. Kushida versus Raul Mendoza, and might as well just underline Kushida at this point. Like, Mendoza is not beating Kushida, but it was an okay match. I got a couple of notes.
I think the only reason they had Raul Mendoza even tonight just was for the aftermatch later, because otherwise people have just been asking what the hell just happened? Who is that?
Yeah, Christopher Mace agrees. Killer Cross. So does Colin Andrew. I've got Mendoza hitting that twisting neck breaker and that bottom rope Cabrana. That was pretty cool looking. But other than that, even Kushida there was one spot though where Mendoza comes off the top or the middle rope. I don't know what the fuck he was going for, but he caught a straight fist to the face, and he probably would have got pinned there, except he rolled out of the ring. But this match was about typical for either one of these guys. Seems like just filler.
It was filler.
Kushida over a little bit after his loss and injury, and then loss and injury. Wasn't that? Because Welter beat him and injured him, and then he came back and they got beat and injured again.
By Adam Cole, I think it was.
Yep. So Kushida gets a win with an avalanche suplex into a cross arm breaker. Mm-hmm. Sure, why not? It was a very contrived setup to get both of those guys on the top rope looking the way they would. You'd have to see it. Anyway, we get a interview with Tyler Breeze in the Performance Center sometime before this show, obviously. And they're asking him what the Performance Center means to him. And he gets interrupted by Austin Theory, who got mad when Swerve interrupted him. So now he's going to go interrupt somebody else. Super. Love it. Great. So he's a heel. Definitely a heel. Mm-hmm. This is going to lead to a match between the two of them. He says to Austin Theory that Breeze didn't quite pan out to the superstardom that some guys did out of NXT. You know, like Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch. And anyway, Breeze takes a picture of him, and he's like, "Hey, did you just snap a photo of me?" He's like, "Yeah, you look pretty good for a flash in the pan." And I'm like, I honestly don't think either one of those insults pans out to anything.
No.
At all.
Might as well just bit their thumb.
It's gonna equal a match somewhere in this equation, and that's fine. Sure. I think that would be a fun match to watch, honestly.
Yeah. Kind of conflicting styles, but at the same time, similar. And the arrogance level in the ring is just going to be off the charts.
You've got somebody that can keep up with the pace of Tyler Breeze, but at the same time, he's strong enough to help Tyler Breeze into a lot of the moves that he can't do on necessarily everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the weight class kind of thing. I feel like I like guys like Austin Theory because they are lifters, which mean, they may not be great in a real fight, but if he's a bodybuilder, then he can certainly lift some weight, and that helps them help other guys deliver. Anyway, I look forward to the match as well.
Mm-hmm.
I give it to Austin Theory. I think they're going to build him up.
That wouldn't shock me at all. May even actually have, like, tights grabbed or something.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Just really hammer it home that he's a heel.
It's my favorite part of the night up until the very end. The very, very end. Rhea Ripley comes to the ring.
Mm-hmm.
It's always great to see her. We didn't get her fireworks this time like we did on Monday Night Raw.
Well, it's smaller arena. You don't want a great white going on.
Yeah, but I wish at some point they'd realize she needs that static back when her music turns and she stops.
Oh, yeah, that's just badass.
Well, she comes to the ring and says that it's supposedly a lot of pressure, but she's going to handle that pressure by beating Charlotte, kind of.
Yeah.
And this, of course, brings out Charlotte. Oh, she says she's going to relieve the pressure by knocking the Queen on her royal ass. That brings out Charlotte.
Yeah.
So, talk about Charlotte's ass, and it'll get her out there, I guess. Hey, Jerry. Charlotte's ass is terrible.
How terrible is it?
I'm not going to knock her on her ass.
Oh.
Actually, she would probably beat the shit out of me. Anyway. She comes out, and the crowd almost immediately starts chanting at her, You don't go here. And she says...
Thank you, Bianca.
She says, yes, I made here. And I'm like, oh, man. Either she's that good or somebody anticipated they were going to yell that at her, and they fed her that line.
Either way,
that was a really good line. And they start chanting to her, go back to Raw.
No comeback for that one.
No, I think she only got one line. She wasn't expecting that.
Mm-mm.
So she comes to the ring and tells Rhea Ripley that she is going to buckle under the pressure because it is too much, too soon, too fast, whatever. And she says it's not the crowd and it's not the WrestleMania event and all of that. She said it's her that is too much, too soon, and she is going to beat her at WrestleMania, and there's nothing she can do about it. About that time, she's stepping through the ropes, and the fight is on, because Rhea Ripley's just like, you're on my turf now we're going to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back and forth until, because at one point, Rhea, pulls her face first into the top, or in the middle turnbuckle, but she just uses that up as an opportunity to get Rhea Ripley over there, and pulls her into a figure four around the ring post. That she keeps on until referees manage to run out there and separate them. That was cool.
And then, Charlotte perched, did the Captain Morgan onto Rhea Ripley's hip, just pretty much stepped on it, and Rhea Ripley slapped Charlotte's leg, stop that. No!
I like this build-up. Attack a body part enough weeks ahead of time for them to recuperate so that you don't have to tell the same old tired story of I'm going into the match with it.
Charlotte was even saying, so you're not even going to make it to WrestleMania.
I would like to either see her continually to attack her, from out of nowhere and attack that leg and make sure that it's not 100% by the time WrestleMania comes around, or this just be the one point to where, once the match does come around, they're like, oh yeah, remember when she wrapped her knee around that post only 4 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Anyway, I like it. Let's move on. We get a video package for Walter, and it starts out this way, like a video promo, but we start to get a voiceover by Finn Balor. And we end it with Finn Balor watching a screen that has the Walter promo with his passport up, saying, what did he say? I don't know. I don't know what he said.
But we know
he's got his passport.
We know he has a passport because we met in Toronto.
Yeah. Because we needed a passport to get there. So,
yeah.
So did he, I'm assuming. And also to get home because he's from Ireland. So there's that. Anyway, let's move on. Mia Yim is shown outside. Somebody wants to get, I guess, a word about her win. And instead, we see a car or a van just screech through the parking lot. Maybe it was an SUV.
It was an SUV. It was a sub.
Stops just short of running down Raul Mendez, and then a couple of masked dudes get out.
Mendoza.
A couple of masked luchadors get out. And
Conquistadors!
They don't really accost Mendoza. They just kind of They don't even nudge him into they kind of just insinuate you should get into the van, and he goes.
Who do we think that is?
Los Luchadores.
I think it could very well be Epico and Primo. We haven't seen him in forever.
Or somebody new, hopefully.
I'd be okay with Epico and Primo. They're two talented guys. May even bring back Carlito.
I would too. But are you mixing them just because they're brown?
Yes.
Because Epico and Carlito aren't Mexican. Anyway. Tegan Nox versus Deonna Purrazzo, who is the Virtuoso. She's thick. Good match. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Purrazzo hits this reverse SOS that I thought was really cool. It's like an SOS, but instead of flipping one way, they flip the other way. Mm-hmm. Gets a near fall for that. And then the match ends with Purrazzo blocking a cannonball and then goes for an armbar, but Nox gets out of it and somehow, somewhere, hits the shiniest wizard out of nowhere.
The shittiest of wizards.
The shittiest of wizards for the pinfall. This was an okay match.
Even shittier than the wizard sitting next to me.
It was short enough that I'm fine with it. But I don't really want to talk much about it. What about you?
Well, that was another qualifying match anyway. So that puts Tegan in the match now. But Purrazzo, like, second she came out, knew she wasn't going to win, but it was going to be at least a technical match. And it was good, I guess.
Okay. There you go. This is kind of the main event coming up here, because this is the last match of the show. And it was a full match. We actually get a winner. Mm-hmm. And we get plenty of shenanigans. We get shenanigans, but they don't really affect the match necessarily. And the main event ends up being Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano coming face-to-face eventually. Yeah. We've got the other championship match of the night, the tag team titles being defended by the Broserweights. That's Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle versus Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. Collectively, Red Dragon, 1/4, 1/2 of the Undisputed Era.
What do you go to college for again?
Math. The math. Sorry. Before the match, though, Velveteen Dream interrupts after the Undisputed Era come out, and he's up on the perch. So they even brought the perch to the balcony
with a whole lot of foreshadowing.
He's up there and he wants to address only one person because out of the 4 men in the ring, of course, Jerry pointed out there was 5. There was still a ref of the ring. Mm-hmm. His 3 eyes only had eyes for one person. That was Adam Cole, and his championship. And he says, "You think I really care about Roderick Strong?" He's like, "I don't care about Strong and his family." He holds up those tights. He's like, "These are just tights with faces painted on them."
Yeah.
And he just throws them away. Mm-hmm. He's like, "I care about that title."
It was kind of a long process, but it worked out. So
yeah,
and Adam Cole saying he doesn't deserve a title shot. So
yeah, he says he's earned nothing.
Yeah,
earned nothing.
But Adam Cole did say he's going to be throwing himself a party next week for being the longest running NXT champion.
Yeah, because his reign finally surpasses
Finn Balor
next week. So cool. This match was fun. It was basically the only downtime was during commercial breaks, and they did show it through the commercial breaks. But honestly, I didn't pay attention this time, so it was fine. The rest of the time, very fast paced. It was a good story
and hilarious.
That too. Well, give your thoughts, man.
Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne just worked well together. There's really no way around that at this point. Like, Matt Riddle has really come to his own finally in NXT, and Pete Dunne I've loved since I first saw him wrestle. So seeing those two together and actually gel as well as they have, and now Pete Dunne showing a little bit more personality in the ring as well, it's pretty great. And Red Dragon were on their game as per usual. Kyle O'Reilly never disappoints. Bobby Fish got mocked pretty much the whole entire time. The crowd started doing to Bobby, like, how much fish could Bobby Fish fry, Bobby Fish could fry fish. And, like, Matt Riddle's over there dancing in the corner as they do it, and it was great. But the match itself was just more of your tag team technician fanfare, and it was just great.
Yeah, early on in the match, Matt Riddle does a tope con hilo, jumping off of Pete Dunne's back and lands on all four. This wasn't early on. This was toward the end.
That's towards the end, yeah.
So he takes out all four guys, but instead of throwing Red Dragon back in the ring, he throws Roderick Strong and then Adam Cole into the ring. And while the ref is mixed up trying to get Roderick Strong out, Pete Dunne pulls an Eddie Guerrero and just falls down and acts like Adam Cole decked him. And the ref eventually throws them both out, sends them away.
And they're just like Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne are just shrugging in the ring.
Eventually, at some point, they kick Pete Dunne over the railing, and he's out of the match for a minute. And they double team on Riddle, but they go for that high-low, and he dodges out of it, comes back, and hits a double spear.
Yeah.
And this brings out the grizzled young veterans, who come down and distract in all kinds of ways. There's several points that we thought either team was going to get a victory off of this, but it didn't really happen. Ends up, Fish catches a back body dropped onto the grizzled young veterans outside, which takes all three of them out. And then we get that bro to sleep with the enziguri off the whatever for the pinfall to, I think, Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah.
And the Broserweights keep the belts. As we said, they don't lose them tonight. This was fun.
I think this is building towards the triple threat for Tampa, though. And that'd be a great match, I believe. Grizzled Young Veterans, UE, and Broserweights beat. That'd be a hell of a show.
Agreed. So before we get to the sort of main event, next week we get Adam Cole's championship celebration. No doubt Velveteen Dream is going to show up. Duh.
We're going to get a lot of build for Tampa this next week.
Yeah, but we are also going to get another qualifying match for the women's ladder match for the number one contendership for the women's championship. It's going to be Candice LeRae versus Mercedes Martinez. We might get another match, too, because that Tegan Nox-Deonna Purrazzo match was also a qualifier.
Yeah.
We didn't mention that, but it's true. Tegan Nox is going... Oh, there you go. So we're going to get that. But also, tomorrow night on NXT UK, they're going to go ahead and tell us now Finn Balor's going to be there, and I look forward to that.
I don't.
Yeah, you don't get to...
I will be here.
Got dad duty. I said duty.
Dad.
So Tommaso Ciampa finally makes the 8.5 mile walk to the ring because he was power walking, man. He was trying to get. He calls out
nachos, then the trots, then he came out.
Yeah, he calls out Johnny Gargano. No preamble, no pretense. He just, Johnny, where are you? Come on.
Answers. Let's do this.
You're the one who told me to come out here, so here I am. What the fuck? And Johnny Gargano, of course, like a heel, comes on to the Tron screen. He is somewhere in a boardroom in the back. And he says some shit, but really, Tommaso Ciampa is just like, I'm pretty sure I know what room that is.
He's like,
he starts heading for it. And he finds Johnny Gargano and just grabs him up and throws him through the wall.
Yeah.
Maybe not through it, but like through one half of the wall. And then just starts throwing him around. Eventually, he makes it through the trainer's room, where for some reason Kushida was sitting in the trainer's room, and I'm like, did that motherfucker injure himself? Holy shit. And they make it to the weight room, where Johnny Gargano grabs a bottle of something and sprays it in Ciampa's face. So he takes over.
Maybe an ice spray. Have you ever dealt with that shit before? Like, it's like this really cold mist that they spray. It sucks.
I've had some of this stuff, bio something.
Yeah. Biofreeze.
Biofreeze, yeah. Oh, yeah, I've dealt with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine getting that shit in your eyes?
Yeah. Hopefully it was something different.
We can hope.
Anyway, so he sprays him in the eyes, ends up throwing him through a window in the door between the first aid facility and the training and the workout room.
Nod to the Rockers.
And then starts beating him up, and then eventually grabs a big weight plate and goes to hit him, and Tommaso Ciampa ducks, gets the weight plate, hits Gargano, and then takes a smaller weight plate and throws it at him. Gargano ducks, and it shatters a fucking mirror. So maybe that's foreshadowing, because now he's got 7 years of bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he chases Gargano out to the crowd, and
All the while, the referees are like, "Stop doing this! What are you guys doing? Stop!
Get out of here!
Get out!
There's people out there!
There's people out there! Stop! Do it! Stop what you're doing!"
Well, Ciampa teases putting Gargano through the announcer's table, but Gargano fights him off, and he takes off, and for some reason, like an idiot teenager in a horror film, goes upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
He goes up to the perch.
Which Stefan the other day was just talking about how nobody does anything on the perch. It's just kind of there.
They have to bring it to a different location to do this, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So they go up to the top of the perch where Gargano takes over with the super kick and then puts on the Gargano escape, and then the fucking ref, Drake, comes up there to get him off of him, and he stands up and he just clocks Drake, just knocks him out. Turns around to pick Ciampa up, because the crowd's like basically chanting, because at this point they have taken the guardrails off. Johnny Gargano took off one, and then somehow Tommaso Ciampa fought off Gargano trying to do something and ended up pulling the other one out, and they scooted it over. And it was great because that trapped Johnny Gargano behind it, so he had to like duck under to go through, and that's when Tommaso Ciampa ran and hit him with a knee. I was like, this is perfect planning.
Yes,
This is great. All in the end, he goes to pick up Tommaso Ciampa, and Ciampa counters out of it, pulls him up into exactly what Jerry said was going to happen. An air raid crash off of the perch through the announce table.
Because the fairy tale ending will looked entirely too gnarly, and there was too much that could go wrong with that.
Yeah, remember when they ended NXT UK, what was it with
Travis
Trent Seven and
Noam Dar?
No, Trent Seven and the fucking guy that keeps getting injured, Eddie Dennis.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, that's how the show ends, with William Regal coming off and sending a ref to go get help. Which we thought he was making a match.
We thought he was going to come out there and make a match since you guys are just laying out there like on the ground.
So that brings us to the end of the main event. And here on What's NXT, we like to rate the main event using the General's 5-star rating system. And Jerry, out of 5 stars, we're going to rate the match or the Ciampa versus Gargano thing here?
I think we're going to rate Ciampa and Gargano, because that turned into almost a match that turned into a no contest.
Yeah. Yeah, sort of.
So, but it's awesome build on a feud that we've come to love anyway, but now it's adding a whole new dimension to it. And a lot of what Gargano was talking about, I actually caught, and it was just him pretty much calling out the fans on their hypocrisy at this point, how Ciampa's come back and is absolutely no different than the guy they were booing and jeering before. But now Daddy's home and all this other crap. And how he's just sick of it and sick of Ciampa. And I'm like, that's great enough explanation for me. That's good. But all in all, I'd say I give it about 3 3/4, because the air raid crash spot at the end was actually pretty great, and the table actually cooperated. If it hadn't cooperated, that would have sucked. Yeah, 3 3/4 sounds fair enough, especially if for just a segment.
There was great stuff built into this entire segment. Mm-hmm. So to start off, we have Tommaso Ciampa come straight to the ring after the longest walk ever. They should have had him arriving there later.
Yeah.
That's the only problem I have with that. But anyway.
They should have just had him show up right before the last match or something.
You know, he's basically like, all right, Gargano, you said that we were going to meet. Where the fuck is you at? And Gargano, like a true heel, is like, oh, I'm just going to be smart and look like I'm, one step ahead of you. I'm going to be on the screen. But at the same time, he's not smart enough to realize, duh. He knows where that is. Yeah. He knows where you're at. He's gonna. If it's right there, he's not just gonna sit in the ring and wait. And it's not like Gargano had some trap waiting. He didn't look like he was ready for him at all. So this was great, and they fought through all of fucking the Performance Center.
I think they were just showing off the Performance Center. It's like, look at all the neat equipment we have. We're gonna be doing some renovating, so he's gonna take out that mirror.
And they ended with that awesome spot. I would start this at 4 stars. However, I'm taking a 1/4 star off because it took them so goddamn long to get there. I realize that these things are supposed to hurt, so they're supposed to go slowly. after like a big spot. There was a spot where Johnny Gargano got thrown into one of those loading bay doors that was just like, holy fuck.
That was loud.
And I know they're meant to bend, but Jesus.
Door hit back.
Yeah. And then Tommaso gets thrown through that window. Easily 4, but take off a quarter because it was just so slow to have to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew they were making their way to some big spot. We just didn't know where it was till they got to the top of that perch. And even then, it took them forever to come off the top of that perch.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to give them back the quarter spot because I honestly think this was a pretty great show, despite how it seemed to drag. When you break down everything into its individuality, especially all of the matches, this show was pretty great.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna level it at 4 stars for the main event.
I was actually kind of sorry I kept on nodding off through it.
It's cool. We understand.
Tired.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of What's NXT. Thank you for joining us. Please join us tomorrow or possibly tonight. We're not sure yet for the NXT party. Jerry won't be able to do it, so I will hopefully have an interim co-host. Either way, we should have Evan Francis as the special
king
guest.
shall be here regardless, so it's going to be a good show.
So we'll see if I end up getting the East Coast professor on the show with me.
You have the king, and then you have the Finn Balor, the prince, on the show, so it's going to be pretty great.
Meanwhile, if you'd like to join us on a future episode of the NXT party and come help us review a future episode of NXT UK, have a spot of NXT with us. You can find me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's Stefan. If you just want to look me up on Twitter, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, Osborne. As always, the R stands for restricted. You can also find the gentleman on Twitter.
At Gerald_JSJ, my Facebook group Armbar, all capital, ARMBAR, exclamation point.
Let's see, the Cleaver Colin Andrew says 4. And Chris Mace gives it 4 stars as well. Chris May says, have Balor and Walter faced each other before in another promotion? I have no idea. That's something to ask.
No.
They have not?
No.
You sure?
Pretty positive, yeah.
I would still ask Noah Foster.
Because when Walter was coming into prominence, Balor was already still in New Japan and coming over to NXT WWE, so they have not crossed paths yet.
Have we done the armbar thing yet?
Yeah, I just did.
Damn, I missed it.
ARMBAR, exclamation point.
Exclamation point. Sorry for that.
Chris Willis is better.
So, did you do the Instagram and the Facebook?
I hadn't yet. No, you started talking ratings.
Facebook Aftermatch Wrestling, Instagram Aftermatch _ Wrestling, Twitter Aftermatch Rest. We take the ling out of wrestling.
Yes. Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. We don't know. It's just true. We've taken the ling out of wrestling.
That shirt just kind of makes itself, doesn't it?
Other than that, I'm on Instagram at osborne.stefan. He's on Instagram at the _gentleman _slaughter! Exclamation point. And,
no exclamation point on that one.
Exclamation point. So, I think that's everything. Oh, yeah, we have a Patreon at Stefan R. Osborne if you want to help the channel. If you've got a few seconds, the best way to help the channel, if you like the show, click the like button. If you like all of our shows, click the subscribe button. That'll let you know when all of our shows happen.
Share.
And if you want to catch us live every week and you didn't catch us this week, click that bell icon. It will let you know in your notifications when we go live. And you can tune in if you're free. Mm-hmm. Mostly, if you want to help the channel grow, please help the channel grow. Click that share button. Share us on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram.
Random wrestling groups.
Yeah. Or if you have friends that you know like watching wrestling, send them a direct message and say, hey, these guys
know something
about NXT.
They know
if somebody likes NXT, then there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. NXT UK, we're like the only ones that cover NXT UK.
Yeah.
So they like NXT UK, we're their guys.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thanks for helping the channel. Hopefully that was enough time. For the General Jerry Slaughter, I am the Wizard of No DQ, Stefan Osborne. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you NXT time.